Jack of all trades, master of none. A phrase used to describe someone who dabbles into multiple skills, but isn't great at any one of them. For example, imagine a merchant who sells every item in the world, from fish to armor, but they're all low quality. In the real world, you'd rather just have several merchants who only sell one item each at the highest possible quality. But what if the merchant who sells every item at a low quality could somehow still sell every item but at a high quality? That is what you would call a TDS JOAT. That intro basically just said that JOATs and TDS don't follow the weaknesses that you would usually come with being a jack of all trades, master of none, aka JOAT. This is unhealthy for the TDS meta for two main reasons. Number one is the role compression. To understand role compression, you need to understand that every TDS tower has its role. For example, obviously Ranger, its role is to be a DPS tower that deals with late game enemies. Commander, its role is to support towers by buffing fire rate. So JOATs, their whole deal is that they have a lot of roles into just one tower slot. But what happens now is that these JOATs, they have so many roles and they do it so well that it's making it so you can fit so many towers into one slot. For example, Electroshocker, it's very cheap. It's also one of the best AoE towers in the game, but its single target is still strong enough to beat stuff like Mega Slow and Own. It has very strong stalling that's only balanced out by the fact that the devs have to spam every enemy with energy immunity. It's balanced to be very good in the early game as well, with flying detection, lead penetration, and also has 15% defense melting. The fact that it's so good at compressing rolls into just one tower slot means you can leave your other tower slots to bring other towers like more DPS, for example. And this leads into the second reason why it's unhealthy for the TDS meta, and that is unintentional, I guess, power creep. So if you have a tower that can do everything versus a tower that is a specialist, but the JOAT tower is still good at it, good at everything, like the example in the intro, then why would you ever use the specialist when you can just have the tower that does everything? And a really good showcase of this is Brawler versus Golden Scout. Golden Scout is made to be only good in the early game, but it's really good in the early game, right? But Brawler is also really good in the early game, but it scales way better into mid game and late game with actual DPS, and Golden Scout falls off immediately in early game. Now there is a legitimate counter argument to this entire video, and that is Engineer. She was designed to be an actual JOAT, like one that does everything but is mid at everything, and that didn't really work out well. She ended up just not getting used at all, because you would rather just use a tower that's good at something. But I feel like that's more of Engineer's JOAT issue. Like, if you compare Engineer's JOATness to modern JOATs, Engineer is so weak. Especially right now, this current Engineer can barely defend early game and mid game, and it's basically just a main DPS tower. Let's compare it to, let's say, Rocketeer. It can early game. It's really good in the mid game and late game. Can sub DPS and has AoE, right? So to buff Engineer, I would just give it supporting capabilities. You may say that's adding more JOATs, but like her JOATness of just being mediocre in early game to mid game when everything else is a JOAT is really hindering her. And I'm not saying TDS should stop making JOATs. Clearly Engineer, at least the Engineer I just proposed, is a very big JOAT, and that is her design. But these JOATs need to be balanced in some way. Like, they can't just power creep Golden Scout, and they can't just take so many roles. So that's, I hope, something that TDS can improve on in the future.